Hi. For those of you that have not seen the original first video, the introductory video, my name is Rob Santini, and the purpose of all of these videos is to produce instructional videos on the life assurance industry and on investments in general. Okay? Now, for the record, life assurance is for life cover for people. Insurance happens to be to do with vehicles, house, etc. Hence, when you hear me talk about assurance, that's to do with your personal cover. 38 years in this business gives me a very good insight as to how the industry operates, what is good and what is bad. Okay? Now, appreciate that I am pretty much a rough diamond. What you see is what you get. I don't mince my words, and definitely I can assure you is that the industry does not like what it is that I have to say, because I don't pull my punches. Okay? So the very first thing that I want to tell you about this industry is that it's made up of BSBB. And that stands for the very impolite bullshit baffles brains. Okay? There's no other way to say it. They are full of smoke and mirrors. Make no mistake that they do a lot of good. Definitely. The problem is that for the layman to understand what is actually good and what is bad is exceptionally difficult because of their smoke screens, because of not being transparent. They say they're transparent, they're not. Okay? If you classify their transparent by font number 5 on page number 101 of a quote, well, sure, they declared it, but that's not being transparent. Okay? Not at all. So the problem that you face as a layman is to be able to differentiate between the chaff and the wheat, to be able to separate it. Okay? And hopefully, if you follow all these different videos that we are compiling, you'll certainly be a lot better educated and be able to help yourself. Okay? So that's, I think, is important to appreciate. I'd like to share some pearls of wisdom. I hope these pearls sink in and that you can make good use of them. Okay? Pearl number 1 is appreciate that of all the thousands of brokers out there, if 10% know what they're doing, that's a lot. It's a hell of a lot. And if 10% of that 10% are actually honest and put their client first and not commission in the back pocket, that's a lot. Okay? Now make no mistake that there are top class brokers and agents out there. Professional, honest, really, really good. The problem that you face is they are like a needle in a haystack. There's very few of them. Okay? So you honestly don't know whether they are or they're not. And as we are talking now, you have no idea whether I am one of the 90 or one of the 10. Okay? You've got no idea. I could be bullshitting you black and blue. You would not know, I can guarantee you that. And the only way that you will know is provided that I am able to prove whatever we say actuarially. Whatever has got to be done has got to be done with precision and got to be able to be backed up by facts and by actuarial facts, which the broker, myself, has to understand. And that's important for you to appreciate. Okay? Next pearl of wisdom. This is the perler. Forgive the pun. What's the best life assurance that you can buy in the world? The very best. Take a wild guess. Nope, you're wrong. Guaranteed, you're wrong. Answer is none at all. None. Zero. A fat zero. That's the best. Okay, think about it. If you were Bill Gates, do you need life insurance? Nope. No, absolutely not. If you had millions and millions in the bank, why the hell do you want life insurance? Okay? Why do you want insurance for your car? What for? Okay? You got the money. Be self-assured. But here's the problem. You are not Bill Gates, or very few of you are. Maybe I'm talking to Bill Gates. If I am, come give me some of your money, mate. I need it. So that's a fact. And because you're not Bill Gates, and 99.9% of you are not going to become Bill Gates or anywhere near Bill Gates, then you do need life assurance. You do. Your family have to be protected, so it's important that you are covered for life, disability, illness, and all of that. It's very important. Okay? Next pearl. Life assurance cover in its purest format costs Rand X per 10,000. Okay? And at no time is there any cash value attached. That's in its purest form. So what that means, and hear me nicely, is that if you die at 99 and you stop paying at 98, you've got zero. Absolute zero. Okay? Now, what you've got to appreciate is that if you have got decent policies right now, and you're a relatively young age and you die, now I know everybody's going to be sad and cry and have great tears. Let's forget about that. Let's talk financially. Financially, who gives a shit? You've got your cover, everything's fine. No problem. What if you die when you're 99? You've got to appreciate that you've got to be able to afford that policy when you're old. It's not just structuring it now, it's structuring it for when you are old. Because surely you've spent all this money paying for this stuff. Somewhere down the line, you would like your family to benefit from it. If not your spouse, your kids, not your kids, your grandkids, somebody should be able to benefit from that money and from all your hard work in paying those premiums all those years. Okay? So it's important to appreciate. But my policy gives me cashbacks. Understand, that's all built in, okay? Some of it is pure BSPB. Some of it, few of it is okay. One or two is really good. But in general, that's not the case. If I'm spending 1,000 Rand to get 200 back, understand it's what it's cost me, 800. That counts. And at the end of the day, it's what you have spent net after cashbacks. That is what counts. And you'll be very surprised what those figures are. I'm going to be showing you shortly. Let's now talk about my favorite subject, which is premium patterns. Okay? Realize that you can go out and buy R1 million life cover for 100 Rand. Okay? You can buy the exact same R1 million for 1,000. We're talking apple with apple, okay? You, the layman, look at it and say, what the hell? 100 Rand must be a bargain. Has to be, correct? Nope, not correct. Because what the 100 Rand does is the 100 Rand does that. The 1,000 Rand does that. So one is called level premium pattern. The other is called age-rated premium pattern. Okay? And the age-rated premium pattern is going to burn your ass. Guaranteed. It has its place. Okay? But let me tell you something. Few and far between. So example, if you need cover, by cover I mean life cover, disability, whatever, because of a contingent liability, you loan money from the bank, it's a short-term loan, 5-10 years, bank insists that you've got to have cover, great. You go out, you buy the cheapest possible cover that you can. Obviously reputable cover, but the cheapest, all right? Because you know very well that in 10 years' time, you're going to take that policy, you're going to dump it straight away, gone. Okay? But for any other reason, not. I make an exception, for example, if I'm dealing with a very young couple, they have got kids, they've got minimal income, high expenditure, they definitely need cover, right, we'll do it. But let me tell you what, it comes with letters of red writing this big, which says, pass up. You have to convert to level as soon as possible. And don't think that you can do age rated today and in 10, 20 years change and that you're going to score. You're not. You're going to get your ass burnt, guaranteed. So I'm now going to show you an actual example to show you how critically important this is. This is a company, Old Mutual. It's same person, he's got 5 million rand life cover, etc. He's paying on a level rated premium 19 per month. And as you can see here, we add, it's 23,000 per annum, and we add up every year the total costs, okay? Now just assume that at the age of 65 he locks in the cover. So he's got 22 million, he says, hey but I've got enough cover, I want to lock it in. As a matter of interest, 22 million in 31 years is equivalent to basically the 5 million today. Alright, so it's not that it's a lot of money then. But the fact that he's locked in the cover doesn't change the fact that he's still got to carry on paying that premium. Alright, and he's going to carry on paying that premium until death do us part. So if that happens to be in 89, the guy's got 22 million and it's cost him 15. Now look at the Old Mutual age rated. Exactly same company, same cover, same person. It's paying less, 1,200, it's a lot less, great. Same thing where he locks it at age 65, but now when he dies he's got still 22 and it's cost him 19. Now in this exercise you may or may not have seen, but we were comparing all sorts of companies, Old Mutual, Discovery, Hollard, PPS, you name it, in different types. So what this page shows you is a summary. Now the print is rather small, sorry about that, but I'll talk you through it. So Discovery Flex Rater for this person happened to be the cheapest at that point. This bracketed line is 10-year intervals, and what it shows is the amount of money that this person would have paid out with each company. So it shows that PPS Age would have been a better deal there. 10 years later, it was Discovery Accelerator. 10 years after that, it's Discovery Standard. Okay? Let's go right down to the bottom and have a good look. So if you look at this line over here, you'll see that everybody has got 22 million rand cover. Exactly the same. The problem is that this one over here, age rated, the guy paid 17 million. This other chap paid 2, this guy paid 10, somebody paid 2, 16, 3, whatever, and there's a minus, actually minus, but here's 1.2 million rand. Okay? So clearly, you want to be the guy who's paid 1 million, not the guy who paid 17 million. I think you all agree. What this graph shows you is the red line, you can see at the bottom here, where the premium costs higher than the age rated. The age rated is green. And obviously it's going to grow because you're increasing your cover each year. Okay? And at the point it stops, becomes level, and away you go. The age rated, however, just carries on. And this is that crossover line. The crossover line is generally the period where the amount that you spend, be it on age or be it on level, is exactly the same. And this crossover, in this case, is 16 years. It varies from case to case and person to person, but generally you can look at anywhere between 13 and 17 years as being the example that I would look at. Okay? This graph says it all. So it's, again, looking at the crossover between age and level. So you can see in that the first 16 years, the guy's scoring all the way to the bank. Okay? But then it turns a corner. And this is what happens, is that in simple, very simple, downright, gewone taal, it's going to burn your ass badly. It'll financially ruin you. It's as simple as that. And what's going to happen, folks? What's going to happen is the fact that you think that the insurance company gives a damn. Okay? No. Let me tell you something, the actuaries actually build it in. They encourage you to take out age rated. They want you to bomb out because you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it carrying those premiums. So you're gone. Do you think they give a Continental? Okay? Do you really do? Then you're very naive because they don't. Okay? So when you want to cancel, they write you these long, tearful letters. Please don't go. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, they're saying to you, Futsack, baby, go. And you know why? Because, hey, they've taken all your money for 15, 20 years, whatever it is. Okay? And you're still alive. They haven't paid you out your 5, 10 million rand. They're scoring all the way to the bank. All they give a shit about is the bottom line, their share price, and their people. Okay, their shareholders in the stock market. That's all they care about. So just keep that in mind. They're not your friends. Okay? Appreciate that. Premium pattern abuse is what I find in 99% of the cases that I start dealing with when I deal with clients. 99. Okay? And the reason why is because the brokers, who are your mates and all of that, care so much about you, all they care about is their pocket. They want the commission. So they're going to tell you, buy this policy because look how cheap it is. And you don't realize the damage that they're actually doing. Okay? And it is really, and I know I'm going on about it, but you need to understand that this is critically important. You would rather have X amount at Rolls Royce than drive a piece of shit. Definitely. Just remember that. Because the other one is going to burn you, and it's going to burn you badly. I would advise you to go to our website, fcs.co.za, go to overview and look at the life assurance overview, which is very much what I've just been talking about, except it's a lot more comprehensive, and I actually give you case studies where you can see exactly the result of not paying attention to this. Okay, so do yourself that favor. Okay, the next aspect of pearl or lesson, whatever you want to call it, is to talk to you about the cashback and the rewards. Now, guys, there's some good ones and there's some really bad ones. Okay, I am going to be talking about Discovery on a separate video on its own, as I am going to do for PPS, for Sanlam, for Mutual, etc. But I'm going to raise it as a classical case in point, because Discovery is the best BSPB company in this country. They are superb marketing geniuses. Okay, the glitz and glamour is amazing. For those people that follow their program religiously, they score. For those people that don't, they get burnt. They get burnt badly. So you've got to be very selective and understanding that when you do a product, you've got to make sure that you understand the fine print. And they don't show you all the fine print. This is the problem. They really don't. So you honestly got to study it properly and make sure that you're dealing with a broker that broker must understand it. Because if he doesn't, we have a problem. And Discovery is an absolute case in point. Okay? Case in point. Where brokers do not understand it. Let me illustrate that point, or what I mean about understanding a product, such as Discovery, and by a broker being able to prove something actuarially. This spreadsheet took me, now you saw how simple it was when I showed you the Old Mutual product. Very simple and easy. Okay? Discovery, this little spreadsheet took me 3 months to compile. 3 months. Okay? And all of it, is to separate the bullshit from the truth. Okay? To be able to work out what is the actual total cost involved. And it took Discovery actuaries 3 weeks to come back and confirm, yes, Rob, you are right. I'm not saying that every broker's got to go to those lengths, but you need to understand that the people that you deal with must know a product properly. There's nothing. I think that applies in sales across the whole world, across every single product. If you don't know a product, don't sell it, because you're just conning somebody. Okay? That's really, I think, a general good lesson to understand in life. So then comes the $1 million question, which is, Rob, how much cover do I need? Okay, now again, a lot of brokers will come along, 10 million, but that's what you need. Easy, okay? You need this, you need that, that's what you need. Quote, done. Now that's absolute nonsense, okay? You have to do a proper financial needs analysis, what we call an FNA, financial needs analysis, in the event of death, disability, and retirement. Okay, and it's got to be done properly. It's got to be really done 100%. Now, again, what most brokers do is that they utilize the stock standard programs that the industry gives them, a Liberty, Blue Light, or whatever it is, okay, Old Mutual, Spotlight, Sunlam Spotlight, whatever the case may be. And what the brokers do is they punch in the data, program pushes out these wonderful graphs and these wonderful figures, and you're going to have eye-watering results in terms of that you now need 20 million rand life cover. Let me tell you that the broker has got no clue as to how that program actually did the calculations. Okay, and you, the client, you definitely got no clue. Absolutely none. Just remember, I did tell you that there are some excellent brokers out there, all right? So they do. But for the rest, the 90%, they've got no idea. No flippin' idea. Okay. Now, where are we different? Well, for starters, I've developed my own program, myself, with these hands. 38 years in the development. Changed and improved all along. It's an Excel program. Number one, we have to capture the stuff properly. And that entails making sure that your company details are put in relation. I'm just going to quickly fly through what it is we do. So we obviously capture the details, family details, addresses, profession, all of that. Of importance, what they're earning, very important to do everything about their company, because that is critically important. What is the values, what is the cash values, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So we capture all your assets, okay? Now there's stacks of room for stacks of assets, right? And you can then yourself go and change as the years go by, all right? And very simply, when you finish, you just hide your blanks, and there it is. At the end of the day, you've got your balance sheet. You can see exactly what John Citizen has and exactly where he stands. There's a policy schedule that will tell you exactly these are your policies. And what then happens is that every year, all you need to do is to simply update the values, and it pulls through automatically. Okay? Now, one of the most important parts is then establishing the cash availability at the end of death. Okay? And that's important. Very, very important. Okay? One of the most important parts in any of these assessments is the ability to determine what it's going to cost to educate your children. And in this regard, we actually go to the trouble of investigating what are the actual schools that you would like to send your child to. Like in this case, the private schools was Clifton Primary, Clifton High. That's not too bad. Some of them want to send their kids to Michaelhouse. Okay? So each one is actually determined. We actually either phone the school or download their fees for that year, punch it in on every single grade, and we know what we're talking about. What university do you think you would like to send your child to? Is it KZN or is it UCT? Massive difference. Okay? Massive. Again, tertiary education overseas. Are we talking UK or are we talking US? Big difference. What we then do, let's assume that the guy wants to do private. We are taking, ignore names please, we're taking the principle of these, of the grades that the kids are in currently. These are up to matric, what they need, or grade 12 in old terminology. And how much money do we have to invest earning 1% above inflation? Now why 1 when we know that inflation is 5? Well, because the school inflation is always higher than normal. Okay? So what we're saying is that you've got to be beating inflation, school inflation, by 1%. And that's not as easy as it sounds. Okay? The bottom line, we're punching in a number until at the bottom here it's basically null. We do the same with tertiary. This is UCT Cape Town, or tertiary overseas, where in this case it would be Harvard, US. And when you then start looking at the summary, it becomes seriously eye-watering stuff. Okay, so in this case, to educate these two kids in a private school like Clifton, which is not the top of the range, and a local university like UCT, it means that the future cost is 4.3 million rand. The present day value of that is 2.3 million, and your upfront investment is 2.350. So if I invested cash, your spouse, you're now dead. Your spouse gives me 2.35 million rand, which we invest with Alan Gray or wherever, and we're earning 1% above school inflation. That'll cover the education. If we had to send this kid overseas, you're talking 26 million rand. It means it would have to cost you 4.5 upfront today. So just that education calc is worth a lot, and we take that into account, so we determine what is the shortfall and what is not. Okay? I've now bastardized this thing quite a lot, so please forgive the names and things like that. The next step is we've got to determine exactly what does it take to look after the family. We've sorted out all the liabilities. Now what does it take? Okay? And the only way that we can do that is to work it out. We've actually got a budget sheet that you can use, and then we put in the figure. What is the spouse earning? Can the spouse earn extra money? So for example, yes, they can earn 70,000 from age whatever. Okay? Let's say 45 as an example. Okay? Would that play a role? Would that not play a role? All right. Does your inheritance play a role or not? For example, and I know this sounds very cruel, but we've got to be able to work that out. We look at what is your potential inheritance. In other words, we look at the man and wife, couple, the respective parents. What are they worth? If they're worth 100 million, well, we don't have too much of a problem looking forward. Okay? So that's important to take into account. Okay? Because all of that plays a role in terms of the amount of money that you need to look after your family. If you are the sort of person that you don't give a continental about your spouse, and you think, oh, you know, I've got this beautiful wife, she's going to go and take all my money and go and marry this young hot oak down the road, so why do I give a continental for that? Well, that's fine, but remember that you've got to look after your kids. And if your kids have still got 15, 20 years to go in terms of education, you're going to have to provide for that. So each person has a different attitude, and we have to cater for that. Okay? So all of these things we have to take into account. And only then you're able to determine what is it that that person needs. Okay? The same thing applies for disability. Exactly the same thing. All right? The difference is that now you do, maybe you don't care about your spouse, but you care about you. Because now you are still alive. And the difference is that now the spouse has to wipe your bum. So you might want to budget for a au pair to look after you. Maybe one with benefits, who knows? Okay. The key is that you've got to be able to take cognizance of all of these things. And the reason why this program is so superior is the fact that you, the client, can dictate the parameters. Okay? You can change it. By changing each and every one, the fact that the spouse currently earns 20 and the spouse could earn 25 makes a massive, massive difference. Massive. So all of that kind of stuff we take into account so that when we say to you, all right, you need 5 million cover, as an example, This is not something. No fancy graphs, no fancy bullshit. Simple, straightforward, one-on-one calculations. Okay? In fact, I took out long formulas long ago. I mean, I could do this calculation with a couple of formulas quite easily. We've done it longhand because it's quite simple. Okay? This may look complicated, but it's not. What is it that they need? Add it up with inflation. What is the spouse earning? What is the future earning that's going to come in? X, Y, Z, net income, and basically when this balance goes into the red, you know that you're in trouble. And that's really the bottom line. Another example where you can check yourself quite easily is, this is the pension calculator, okay? Where we know exactly what the guy is earning, we know what his fund is, we know exactly the parameters that we are using, okay? We know all those factors into account. We're assuming here 3% above inflation. At 60, he's got 27 million. Wow, isn't that great? Well, that's worth 8 in today's money. And if you have to go and bank it, it's worth 36. And here's what's nice about it. Have a look what happens at 55. So you can see straight away, okay? Changes to 25%. We'll talk about retirement in a different video, so we're not going to get bogged down now on that subject. The point of the matter is that you have to do a good financial analysis. And what we are offering you is a program that when we finish capturing all of this, it comes to you. Okay, it's yours. And you can manipulate it as you wish. And as long as you've got the most basic of Excel knowledge, you can easily figure out whether the calculations are correct or not. So it takes away that element of bullshit straight away. Okay, because it's verifiable. Easy as that. If you disagree with something, if you think inflation shouldn't be 5 but 6, fine. Punch it in and get the result. It's simple. So after listening to me, do you still think that your portfolio is okay and structured properly? And the standard answer is, oh, I've got a top-class broker. It's my mother, my uncle, my cousin, my best golf buddy, my schoolmate, and he's looked after me all these years, and he's such a nice guy. We have beers every week together, and he's really, really good. I've got news for you, mate. I really have good news for you. Because 95% of the clients that agree to do an assessment via me, we prove that their best mate has been screwing them blind for years. That's fact. 95%. It's only 5% of the time that I can go back to a client and say, guess what? Surprise. Your broker did a great job. Okay? He's really done a first-class job. And even if there were minor little things, you can go and say to the client, listen, just mention to him to look at ABC, which is really minor, not a problem, which is fine. 5%. The rest, my man, you have got no idea the nonsense that goes on there. Absolutely none at all. And in the next video, we're going to be talking about investments and retirement. Boy, oh boy, they take you to the cleaners like you've got no idea. So I sincerely hope that you that are listening to me are one of those in the 5%. I really do. I mean that. Okay? But I'll tell you what, you're not going to know unless you actually get a second opinion. And that's what I'm offering you. Free of charge, gratis. Okay? Is a second opinion where we can do a proper analysis. All we need is your permission to have a look at your portfolio. We do an online or one-on-one discussion where we capture all that information that I spoke to you about. We analyze it properly, come back. From there, you can determine. You can determine whether what's happened is okay or not okay. The only thing I do ask of you is that if it's not okay, and badly not okay, is that then you do business with us. Okay? And that's what it's all about here. I'm trying to get you to become my client. The only way I can do that is to be able to prove to you that we're doing a good job. Okay. So I'm sorry if this was a little bit long, but I hope it was informative and that you've actually learned something. And even if you don't do business with me, please remember those pearls of wisdom, because they're very, very, very valid. So I'll ask you again, contact me. It's free of charge. The email address and my telephone number is below. You're welcome to call me or email me anytime. Thank you again for listening. May God bless you always. All the very best.